Yo, what is good? I am Richie Kim and welcome back to another video on Richie Revs. So this video is going to be for those of you that are curious about how much it costs to mod, a vehicle like this, a G8X, G82, So basically, I'm going to be breaking down pretty much everything about this car in terms of all the mods that I've done. And just keep in mind that all these mods are just like aesthetic mods for the most part too, so this isn't even including future stuff that I'm going to do, because once the warranty does run out, I will be tuning the car, putting on a downpipe, doing all that stuff. But right now it's just pretty much aesthetic, and it's still pretty damn expensive. So just modifying this car in general does get very expensive. So yeah, I'm gonna break it down. You all know probably already that I have gone through I guess two phases with this car. One where modifications included the OEM bumper, and then the other half which was using the Adro bumper. So I'm gonna kind of break it down for both phases, kind of. I'm going to be more in-depth for the Adro phase just because that is the current version of the car, but I will also throw up the price of the total parts and service for installation, or at least most of it for the OEM version as well. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So starting off with the first mod on this car, it's going to be this Valvetronic exhaust. This was probably the first thing that I ever did to this car. And this is the full Valvetronic catback exhaust. This is just the stainless steel version. This isn't the titanium. The reason I went with the stainless steel is because it's slightly cheaper, obviously, but then the titanium actually has a raspier noise, especially when you do tune the car and you add a downpipe. So I thought stainless steel would be the best way to go, and that cost me $32.50. So I actually got a discount on the exhaust. Retail is $3,500, I believe, plus you got to pay tax and shipping, but it was just $32.50. That shipped straight to my door. So yeah, I mean, I got a hell of a good deal. You can choose different tips and whatever, but I went to black. So yeah, I mean, that was the first thing that I did to this car. So $32.50. The next thing I did is the lowering springs on this car. So the only thing that I did was the front. I didn't do the rears, just because I think, in my honest opinion, I think these sit pretty damn nice in the back. You don't have too much space here, but you don't have too little. This is my daily driver. I do drive this car every damn day, and I don't want something that's too low, just because I don't want to scrape, and I just don't want to have to deal with maneuvering over speed bumps and whatever, right? So the rears are stock. They do have spacers though, which I will get to. But in the front, we do have Eibach lowering springs in the front. Looks really, really good. And those springs, just for the springs itself, ran $200 or $200.31. So next up is actually the spacers. So I do have spacers in the front and in the rear. Honestly, I kind of forget what sizes I'm running now. I want to say I'm running 15 in the front and 12 in the rear, or maybe 18 in the front and 15 in the rear. Honestly, I just forget. It's been a long time. And those spacers run me $400 for the whole set. But so next up is actually the spacers. So I do have spacers in the front and in the rear. Honestly, I kind of forget what sizes I'm running now. I want to say I'm running 15 in the front and 12 in the rear, or maybe 18 in the front and 15 in the rear. Honestly, I just forget. It's been a long time. And those spacers run me $400 for the whole set. But honestly, it had to be done. You all can see the fitment. Fitment is really, really good right now. So yeah, spacers. Next thing up, I would consider this a mod just because, it is something that modifies the vehicle. And that's actually going to be the window tint on this car. So on this particular car, I did get full Lumar ceramic tint all around. And that is $400 for the part and the service. $400 is a pretty damn good price. Some places will charge more than that. Some places will charge less. I got lucky with where I went. They did a really good job too. So yeah, $400 for 15% Lumar all around. obviously except the front windshield. And that one actually cost me $270. So I do have front windshield tint. It is 90% tint. It's not like dark or anything. It is the highest level of 3M. I forget what it's called, but you know, I just threw that on there just for a little bit of extra interior protection. And it actually does reduce a lot of heat, even though it's like pretty damn clear. And that's just something that I really wanted in my car. So I did get the front windshield tint, and that was $270. So the next thing up is these wheels. Like, these wheels were not stock on this car. You know, this is just a regular M3 Competition. This isn't like the M3 CS, which actually come with these wheels. And not only that, but these are actually 20 inches all around. It's a square setup. I originally had the 19-inch version of these, and then I swapped them out for the 20s, which I didn't actually include in this price. So obviously, you know, that does add to the expenses of the modifications of this car. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, you know, we had the 20-inch CS wheels all around, and that was $4,500. And that's not including tax or shipping. So, you know, obviously it's going to be a little bit more expensive. And like I already mentioned, you know, this might not be the most exact because, you know, some of these prices do include shipping and tax, and some don't. And yeah, I mean, it's just like a little too hard to keep track of. So I basically came up with like a baseline number for each of these parts. But yeah, I mean, the wheels for a set of these 20-inch wheels was about $4,500. So the next mod that I did for this car is actually going to be the PPF. So I did PPF just the bumper. Well, it hasn't been PPF yet, but this was PPF'd on the OEM. But I did get the hood PPF'd as well. I didn't get the fenders PPF just because, honestly, like, even when I drove this car in the canyons without PPF, I didn't really run into any issues of like having rock chips or anything like that. So I just went with the hood and the bumper. But now that I have the Agile on, the PPF is going to be coming. And I've already included that on this pricing sheet just because, you know, it is actually going on in the next couple of weeks, which will include the bumper and the grill and the lip. Like, all those carbon fiber parts will be PPF because I don't want them to get damaged again. But yeah, so total for the PPF is going to be $1,775, which is actually a really good deal. Not only that, but you know, the place that I am getting it done at, I know they do a really good job. And they are using Steck Dyno Shield, which is like the highest version of Steck PPF, I believe. And not only that, but it also has in like built-in ceramic coating. So yeah, I mean, in terms of like complete package of PPF, like, I think it's a really, really solid like brand and version to use. So I went with the Steck Dyno Shield, and yeah, that run me $1,775 basically for just the front bumper, the lip, the grill, and the hood. So yeah, PPF. After the PPF, obviously, you know, you also have to get the ceramic coating, right? So I have this whole car ceramic coated. And for just the coating, like on the entire car, that's $800 plus another $150 for ceramic coating on the wheels. Next mod, which I wouldn't really call it a mod, but it is like an additional part or accessory for the car, is these tux mats. And I actually absolutely love these tux mats. Like, these are way better than the mats that are included with the car. You know, it's just fabric or whatever. But yeah, these are great. They're super, super durable. They're very easy to clean. Obviously, it's a little bit dirty right now. I just haven't had time to clean it. But yeah, tux mats, great. And the tux mats ran $225. And I definitely think it's worth it. Like, I have the whole set. So, you know, I have the set up in the front, the driver's side. And then I also have the tux mats in the back over here too. Like, these tux mats are great. It's one piece, so the center portion is also covered as well, which is really, really nice. But yeah, tux mats, definitely worth it. And those are $225. Next up on the list is actually this fender liner in here. So this is an RKP fender liner. You all can't really see it, but it is there. So this is a brand new fender liner, completely different. It's like a modified version of this stock fender liner from the company RKP. And the reason I had to do that is because when I went with the 20-inch wheels, you know, if you don't have this modified fender liner, you're gonna rub, and you're gonna rub a lot. So yeah, I had to replace the whole fender liner. I went with the RKP fender liners, and that was $876. Very, very expensive, like, for what it is. But in my opinion, I think it's absolutely worth it, because, you know, it saves the time of having to take off the old fender liner, modifying it yourself, potentially messing up, and then adding in, like, you know, aftermarket fender replacement, or like the vent replacement that's like up on the front end of the fender liner. So yeah, you know, I just decided, screw it. You know, I forked out the 876, and yeah, that's what I got. But yeah, definitely worth it. So when I also got the new wheels, obviously I had to get new tires, because like I mentioned in my very first video with this car, actually, I struck out on the wheel lottery, or the tire lottery, I should say. I got stuck with the Pirellis, and they were good, not the best in my opinion. So yeah, you know, I had to get some PS4S's. They're honestly like my overall favorite all-use tire. Like, I can, you know, take it in the canyons, have a blast, great for daily driving. Like, I think these are great all-around tires. And I did get a set of 4, you know, 285/30/20s PS4S's for this car, and that was $1910, so $1,910. So moving on to probably the most expensive modification for this car. Obviously, as you all know, I recently got the Adro bumper, and the Adro bumper itself was $3510. That's not including, like, you know, any tax, shipping, service, anything like that. It's just $3,510. Very, very expensive. And like I said, not even including tax, shipping. So it is an expensive modification. In my opinion, I think it's well worth it, just because I really do love the way that this bumper looks. Like, it just completely changes the look of the car, and I really, really like it. Definitely, you know, it's not for everyone. Not everyone does like it, but myself, I absolutely love it. So very, very worth it for me. So that's $3510. And then, you know, the carbon grille and the carbon brake ducts for the Adro bumper, that was $1,980, and that's not including shipping and tax as well. So just the Adro kit alone, you know, we're looking at almost $6,000. And I'm not going to even say the kit, just the front bumper alone is like almost $6,000, which is pretty insane. But, you know, I'm happy with it. Another modification, which is also another piece of carbon fiber for the car, is this spoiler from RW Carbon. And this spoiler, I mean, it is great quality. Like, RW makes really, really good stuff. And I'm honestly super happy with this particular spoiler in general. The spoiler alone was, at least for me, like about $255. The mirror caps on this car are also RW Carbon. So also very, very good quality. You know, typical carbon fiber mirror cap. Those ran me $592. And then another issue that came along with this particular bumper, it had to deal with the old carbon fiber grille that I had on the OEM bumper, was actually the sensors. So the sensors were, for some reason, glued onto the old carbon fiber grille. So I had to replace the sensors, like the parking sensors right here up in the front. And that was pretty expensive. You know, a set of 2 was $430. The next mod that I have, you actually can't really see it now, but it is in my most recent video, is the oil cooler guard, which is sitting underneath. Yeah, you all can't see it, but yeah, there's an oil cooler guard sitting underneath this car, just to protect, you know, the oil cooler from any rocks, debris, whatever, like, just in case. You know, you never know what's going to happen. So got that just in case, to protect it from any future damage, which could cost me even more money than that 300 and whatever dollars it costs for the actual part. Besides that, I also have slip low on here. Like, you all can see the slip low a little bit, I think, but the slip low is just this rubber piece here that goes onto the bottom of the lip. just so when you do scrape, you aren't scraping the lip of your car. Because let me tell you, I have already scraped this lip once and I was mortified, like just hearing that noise. It just breaks your heart, honestly. Especially when, you know, the lip looks as good as this. Like, it sucks, and it's just something that you never want. So yeah, you know, just slip low. Very, very cheap, honestly. You can get it on Amazon, whatever. Those cost me $67.83. But yeah, definitely worth it if you have like a carbon fiber lip or an expensive lip and you don't want it to get damaged. I think it's very, very worth the price. Now, as far as some of the installs go on this car, you know, this isn't everything, but I tried my best, honestly. You know, the exhaust installation itself, that was $350 to put on the full Valvetronic catback. The spring install was $145. That's for the lowering springs up in the front. So that's not including like any of the alignments that I needed to do afterwards. But yeah, that's, you know, 145 bucks. The wheel install, switching out all the wheels, mounting the new tires, switching to TPMS and all that stuff, that was 140 bucks. And then installing the actual oil cooler guard underneath this car was 100 bucks. And then the paint and install for this Adro bumper, you know, they don't come painted, they're just straight up black. So you do have to take it to a shop. They'll do like the paint matching and all that stuff. And for me, the actual painting and install was $1,900. So yeah, you know, I'm gonna tell you the total price now for just the Adro version, right? This is like the Adro phase of this car. And that total comes out to $25,513.83. That's a lot of money. Like, honestly, when I got this car, I told myself, I'm not gonna mod it. Like, I think it's great as is. And I was wrong. Like, I spent a lot of money on this car. I've only owned this car for 10 months now, and I've already dropped that much money into it. And obviously, that's not including, you know, all of the subtle changes that I had to do, like extra spacers to figure out what worked and what didn't work, you know, modifying the OEM bumper and, you know, switching out all those carbon parts. So yeah, definitely a learning experience. I would say realistically, especially when you factor in like the shipping and taxes and like all that other stuff that I did not include, you're probably looking closer to like maybe $29,000. So yeah, I mean, it is expensive. Just for total transparency, like I said, you know, when I did have the OEM bumper, my total was like $23,681.98. And that's obviously not including like shipping taxes, like for some of the parts and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that is very, very expensive. And like I already mentioned, that's not even like, you know, for performance mods. That's just straight up for, you know, just aesthetic stuff. Which honestly is fine by me. Like, I am happy with how this car is right now, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to be doing anything else. Once the PPF goes on in a couple weeks, I honestly think that the car will be done. I feel if I do anything else aesthetically, it would probably be maybe just like changing out these OEM side skirts or adding like a little piece underneath, just to make it a little bit more aggressive. I don't know if I would do a full Adro kit. I've kind of been thinking about it, but that's also, you know, a lot of money. And is it worth that money? Honestly, I don't think so, but who knows? Maybe my mind will change in a little bit. Maybe I do the whole Adro diffuser and the side skirts and then call it quits. Then the car will be complete. But yeah, as of right now, like, I am pretty happy. You know, if I do get those modifications done later, then that'll probably be like another $5,000, which is a lot of money, and I just don't want to drop that, at least not right now. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, that is the full list of mods that I've done for this car. Like I said, there are some things missing where I had to do like small little changes, like switching out spacers for another certain spacer, or switching out for a size, I guess. Switching the 19-inch versions of the front wheels to the 20s. That was like an extra couple grand as well. But yeah, I mean, just from like what is on this car now, the total is $25,513.83. So yeah, like I said, it's definitely expensive, but you know, if you are trying to get into one of these cars and you want to do mods of your own, that is something that you're going to have to consider, especially when it comes to the price point of it, because you know, not everyone can afford modifications. I'm very, very lucky to be able to, you know, be able to pay for this. And yeah, I mean, I'm super happy with how it turned out. Stick around. I am going to be uploading a video of like my 12,000 mile review of this car. I've had it for 10 months now, coming up on a year in December. And, you know, it hasn't been perfect. Like, I have run into some issues. But for the most part, like, I am extremely happy with this car. Like, this is honestly one of the best dailies, if not the best daily I've ever had in my life. Yeah, I mean, I love this car, honestly. I really, really do. Well, that's pretty much it. That is like the full extent of the mods on this car and how much they cost. So yeah, I mean, you know, hopefully this helps you all if you are curious of, you know, how much it does cost to, you know, afford a car like this and make these types of modifications. But yeah, you know, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.